Lewis Hamilton wearing Ferrari red was meant to be the storybook ending, a poetic final act of a storied career written in speed, emotion, and triumph. But instead, we're looking at timing sheets from Saudi Arabia, where Hamilton landed P7, half a second behind his teammate. Martin Brundle saw it, and he didn't sugarcoat it. But is it really just about the car? Is Hamilton still the same driver we know? Or are we witnessing the unraveling of a legend stuck in a storyline that doesn't quite fit? Brundle is known for delivering insight with wit and experience, but after free practice 3 in Jeddah, his tone had shifted. There was something uneasy in his voice, maybe concern, perhaps disbelief. Hamilton's race engineer told him he was 7/10 off in the first sector, 4/10 in the second, and didn't even complete the third. Lewis didn't reply with his usual calm breakdown or cutting sarcasm. He simply muttered, "Geez." Brundle instantly recognized the weight behind that word. That wasn't the composed voice of a 7-time world champion analyzing data. That was the sound of someone gut-punched by the very machine meant to carry him forward. As Brundle noted, there have been entire race weekends where Hamilton wouldn't have dropped 7/10 to anyone, especially not in a single sector. That sort of deficit isn't just a setup issue. For someone like Lewis, it's a personal crisis. And Brundle didn't stop there. He said what many fans were already whispering. Hamilton doesn't look fast in this Ferrari. He doesn't even look comfortable. According to Brundle, it looks like Hamilton is going the wrong way on setup. He's not trusting the car, and the result is hard to watch. That's what hits hardest. When a commentator of Brundle's caliber calls a 7-time world champion's driving uncomfortable, you know something's off, and not just with the stopwatch. It's about identity. For over a decade, Hamilton has been the driver who could transcend the machinery, someone who could find time where others wouldn't even look. Now, he sounds uncertain on the radio and lost in the timing screens. It's easy to forget, but it wasn't long ago that Hamilton was slicing through the grid with confidence that bordered on artistry. Now, he's second-guessing the setup, chasing non-existent grip, and reacting to sector times like a man who doesn't trust the process anymore. Brundle may have sounded calm, but the message underneath was piercing. This isn't just a slump. This is something deeper, something even a driver like Hamilton can't fix overnight. And when Brundle says Hamilton doesn't resemble himself, that's a louder warning than any blown engine or DNF. That, geez, just one word, carried more emotional weight than an entire post-race breakdown. It came right after his engineer Riccardo Adami relayed the bad news. 7/10 down in Sector 1, 4/10 in Sector 2, and an incomplete final sector. This wasn't a technical reply. It was raw emotion. And in that moment, the dream of Hamilton at Ferrari started to show cracks. Because let's face it, Lewis Hamilton is not a geez kind of driver. He's the guy who pushes through instability, who extracts performance even from chaos. But in Saudi Arabia, there was no fire in that response. No fight, no defiance. Just resignation. Later in the session, he came back on the radio and said, "I just don't have the grip, mate. I don't know." And that "I don't know" is a massive red flag. Because if Lewis doesn't know, who does? He's not just another racer. He's been the benchmark, the reference point. If he's uncertain, the problem isn't minor, it's foundational. It's not just that the car is slow. It's that Lewis sounds disconnected from it. Like watching a master pianist hitting the wrong notes on an instrument that no longer plays the way it used to. That's what made that small word, geez, so impactful. It was the sound of a man beginning to realize that maybe, just maybe, this dream with Ferrari isn't becoming a reality. Not yet, anyway. Now, let's not put everything on Hamilton's shoulders. Because here's the tough truth. The SF-25 isn't exactly a weapon for anyone right now. Charles Leclerc might be quicker than Hamilton, but even he's not happy. During the same FP3 session, he radioed in saying, "This is the limit of the car. I can't go faster through the corners. It's just sliding from all 4 tires." That doesn't sound like a man pushing the edge of performance. It sounds like someone skating on the edge of frustration. Ferrari's much-anticipated upgrades were meant to close the gap at the front, but after qualifying, Leclerc admitted they hadn't changed much. Pretty similar to before, he shrugged. When the team's poster boy is this openly doubtful, you know there's serious trouble behind the scenes. These aren't growing pains, they're systemic flaws. Hamilton, meanwhile, has landed right in the middle of it. The issue? His driving style demands finesse, precision, and responsive grip. He's not someone who muscles the car into shape. He flows with it. But when the foundation is off, that elegance turns into fragility. And right now, the SF25 isn't giving him what he needs. Understeer, sliding, lack of rear grip. It's a nightmare for a driver who built his career on balance and control. Brundle was probably right in saying Hamilton might be steering the wrong way with his setup. But maybe that's not fully on Lewis. When the car is this unpredictable, how much can a driver really fine-tune? This isn't like tuning a violin. It's more like trying to compose jazz on a drum set with one missing stick. To make matters worse, McLaren is currently dominating, not Red Bull. So Ferrari doesn't even have the excuse of being outgunned by some supercar. They're simply being out-developed, out-engineered, and out-thought. This was supposed to be their year of resurgence, especially with Mercedes rebuilding and Red Bull in a transition phase. Instead, Ferrari just delivered a new version of an old problem. So yes, the SF25 is absolutely part of the issue. It's moody, inconsistent, and allergic to both grip and upgrades. Sure, Hamilton is having trouble adapting, but how do you adapt to a car that hasn't figured itself out yet? The irony is painful. Ferrari sold Hamilton a legacy, but so far it feels more like a curse. Hamilton's mindset has always been his secret weapon. This is a guy who's come back from massive point deficits, turned doubters into believers, and channeled adversity into dominance. But in Saudi Arabia, we didn't see that version of Lewis. We saw someone unsure about the car, the plan, maybe even his move to Ferrari. And that's the real danger, not in lap times, but in that space between the ears. When he said, "Normally Saturday goes backwards, but there's not a lot of backwards left from where I am," it didn't sound like analysis. It sounded like quiet despair. That's not the fire we're used to from Hamilton. That's a man staring at a wall and not seeing a door. It's not just the words, it's the pauses, the tone, the body language. They speak volumes. This isn't a bad weekend. It's becoming a worrying trend. Because once doubt creeps in, it moves fast, especially in a sport like F1, where confidence is everything. You start lifting a bit earlier, braking a bit softer, and questioning the instincts that made you a champion. No, Lewis hasn't forgotten how to drive. That's not the issue. But even the best can't perform when the machine doesn't respond. And when that happens race after race, it wears down anyone, even a 7-time world champion. If Ferrari can't give him something to trust soon, this story won't be about lap times. It'll be about a fading belief in a once promising chapter. Let's take a step back. Because Hamilton's struggles aren't happening in isolation. The entire F1 landscape has shifted. Max Verstappen now has 4 titles. Sergio Perez is out at Red Bull, replaced by Yuki Tsunoda. Mercedes handed the future to teenage prodigy Kimi Antonelli. And while everyone was distracted by these headlines, McLaren built the fastest car on the grid and quietly took control. Meanwhile, Ferrari feels stuck in neutral. The SF25 is better than last year's car, but only slightly. The upgrades haven't closed the gap, and both drivers are echoing the same complaints: lack of grip, lack of speed, lack of solutions. It's déjà vu with a fancier engine cover. This was supposed to be Ferrari's revival year. A superstar driver, a renewed mission, a shot at glory. But so far, the only thing they've perfected is the press release. On track, they're still chasing shadows of the great teams, and now, of the Hamilton that once defied gravity. And while Leclerc has been more consistent, he isn't setting the world on fire either. Both drivers are fighting the same battle. The difference is, Leclerc was born into Ferrari chaos. Hamilton chose it. He stepped into the storm thinking he could bring the calm. Right now, the storm is winning. So what's next? In the short term, more pain, unless Ferrari pulls off a mid-season miracle. Long term, it depends on whether Hamilton can mentally reset, on whether Ferrari can finally give him a car that does more than just look good in red. Because if not, this story won't end in glory. It'll end in heartbreak. Then again, this is Formula One, where legends are made from comebacks. And if anyone has the fire, the will, and the ego to pull off a miracle turnaround, it's Lewis Hamilton. Just don't expect it to be smooth sailing.